increase in boats mishap this season has led to calls for more stringent safety regulations on popular waterways. In light of the recent tragic boat mishap in Mokwa, Niger State, precisely the evening of October 1, the vessel carrying over 300 passengers was reported to have capsized, claiming multiple lives in the Gbajibo River of Mokwa local government area of Niger State. This incident, sadly not an isolated one, follows a series of similar tragedies across the country, raising critical questions about the state of water transport regulation, safety protocols, and the urgent need for reforms to prevent further loss of lives on our waterways. Reports show that in every summer, there's frequent boat mishap in our water transportation. These accidents often surge after heavy rains, as flooded rivers can catch even an experienced skipper. On Nigeria Today, we'll take a closer look at the growing concerns over waterway safety in Nigeria as we discuss the challenges and potential solutions with some experts. Oh, you're welcome to Nigeria Today. I'm Ikaria Clinton, and thanks for joining us. Now, joining us for this discussion is Godwin Adoga. He's a safety expert. You're welcome to Nigeria Today.
Thank you very much for having me. It's an amazing one to be here, and I hope we have a very good discussion about what has happened. It's really sad.
Thank you very much, Godwin. Also with us via Zoom from Lagos is Engineer Sarat Brahima. He's the Area Manager, National Inland Waterways Authority, NIWA, Lagos State. You're welcome to Nigeria Today.
Thank you so much. Good evening. My name is Engineer Sarat Brahima, the Area Manager, National Inland Waterways Authority, Lagos Area Office.
Okay. Thank you. Now, equally reaching us via Zoom from Niger is Abdullahi Baba Ara. He's the Director General, Niger State Emergency Management Agency. Glad to have you with us, sir.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you for having me.
Now, I'll start with you, DG Abdullahi. Can you please give us an update of what the situation is like? Because we understand that rescue operation is still ongoing in Niger State.
Search and rescue is still ongoing. It was day before yesterday when we had a very unfortunate incident here in Niger State, particularly in Mokwa local government, in a village called Mundi. Mundi is a major village in Mokwa local government, where about 300 passengers were on board on a canoe around 8:30 p.m. Hello? Hello?
Go ahead, we can hear you.
Okay, so 2 days ago, about 300 passengers were on board a canoe from Mundi community. They were heading to the next village for annual Eid al-Mawlud festival. But unfortunately, along the road, right at the middle of the river, the boat capsized, where as at then, more than 150 persons were rescued alive. And then since then, search and rescue operation were undertaken, which at the moment now we were able to recover about 31 persons, which unfortunately we lost them into the accident. So we lost about 31 people.
Thank you very much, Abdullahi. But still on you, Abdullahi, you talked about the boat carrying 300 persons. Is that kind of is it allowed legally for the kind of boat that's involved here? Is it allowed to carry up to that amount of persons at once?
Legally, by law, they are not supposed to carry such kind of number of passengers legally. But you can also, you may be aware that the time of that journey was around 8:30 p.m. By then, most of the officials on waterway were not around. They were not on ground. Checkmate such such attitudes. So they took advantage of the officials that oversee our waterways, and then they embark on that kind of crowded journey. That is what really happened. But in the real sense, ordinarily, officials will not be allowed, will not allow them to embark on such kind of water transportation.
Thank you very much, Abdullahi. Our condolences to the families of the deceased. Now, to you, Engineer Sarat, we've had quite a lot of these kinds of incidents. We want you to talk to us about what are some of the causes of these recurring boat mishaps on our waterways.
So much. Once again, good evening. It's so unfortunate that this is happening again on our inland waterways. Since about 2 months ago now, NIWA came up with a transportation code, and that code is to guide what are supposed to be done on the inland waterways. We went for sensitization from state to state. This same Niger State, we were there last 2 weeks for sensitization. The law has banned night traveling for the past 7 years. You are not supposed to move on the inland waterways past 6 p.m., 7 p.m. was the boats. Get what they had before time.
I sincerely apologize for that. Like the network issues there. Now, to you, Godwin, we've heard the incident of Niger State where over 300 persons were on board a vessel or a boat. Now, talk to us about some of the many causes of these kinds of accidents on our waterways.
All right. Well, I want to first of all start by saying that losing or not being able to find, up to 130 people is a national disaster. We have a boat of over 300 people capsizing. 150 people have been, found alive and rescued and taken to safety. About 20 or 30 have been rescued alive, and the rest are still missing. I don't know if I should call it a search and rescue at this point, because it begins to seem to me that it is only just a search. The likelihood of finding anybody alive, if you at all find them, after the amount of time that has passed since October, the beginning of October, is almost zero. Now, this is something that requires more than just a conversation. Actions need to be taken. And we're talking about what are the causes of, boat accidents on our waterways. I was here a few months ago. We're talking about this same issue, and just like my colleague from Lagos State has also mentioned, a lot of effort has been put into sensitizing people. But what I see here is a lack of adherence to policies that have already been put in place. The Director General from Niger State mentioned that the officials that were supposed to make sure that people are not contravening the law by moving at night were not available. They had closed, and I see something wrong with that. If you pass a law and the law says this action would attract this consequence, I think, in my understanding, that there should be people on ground to make sure that people who are going to contravene that same law should be punished. I see no reason why we don't have people who are guarding the water at night. Maybe there'll be explanation towards that. But for me, I see a lot of negligence. Losing that amount of people, I don't want to, compare with other climes, but at this point we should be calling for resignations. Because condolences to families at this point will do no good. And I don't want to be a pessimist, but if we don't begin to address these issues, we are coming to the end of the rainy season. A lot of water, is going to be released into our waterways from the channels. More and more of this will continue to happen unless people start taking it seriously. Our inland waterways are going to have more traffic because the cost of road transportation is getting higher. So people will try to cross the water because it may be cheaper. And you can see that vessel was carrying 300 people. It tells you something. Somebody was either trying to make a quick buck, they were trying to make a quick money, or people were trying to save money by crowding themselves into a vessel. And it turned out to happen this way. If they had arrived successfully, perhaps we won't be having this conversation today, and it would have been swept under the carpet. Sometimes I believe that we are too reactive in terms of managing emergency or in terms of even preventing emergencies like this. We're too reactive. Sometimes we tend to just wait for things to happen and then start to proffer solution. I think the questions that needs to be asked, what needs to be asked are, what went wrong? First of all, to answer your question before I digress too much, we have a problem of, low quality vessels. That's the truth. We have a problem of low quality vessels that have been, in use for a very long time that needs to be changed, not even maintained. Then we have a problem also of poor or inexperienced drivers. The same way we have driver training for people who drive cars. Do we have a training school for people who drive boats? Are we sure these people know how to do what they are doing?
Okay, Godwin, I'll have to stop you here to bring in DJ Abdullahi. Now, Abdullahi, you mentioned that this incident occurred at night. You said something about 8:30, where officials are no longer, available. How are you, leveraging technology to checkmate some of these loopholes? Like you rightly said, officials are not there at night, but how are you leveraging technology to, cover any lacuna that is, there to prevent, future mishaps?
Already the engineer, the lady engineer Brahma from Lagos, she have sounded that in her opening remarks, that only 2 months ago when they went around for sensitization, and there had been law or policy that once it is dark or at night, no one should fly through the waterways unless the day breaks. So here in Niger State, that policy, that law has been sounded to us, and we have transmitted down the memory lane, down the grassroots, that people must comply. So in a situation where men on guard of waterways might have not been around, they have not been around the water scene, then these stubborn people, sorry to say, the passengers, came and boarded the ferry or the canoe at that late hour of the night, 8:30 for that matter. They came on their own and then embark on that kind of journey. Ordinarily, they will not be allowed to be on board waterways at that hour. So to me, I can say it is mostly caused by ignorance from their part. Ignorance, because in a situation where warning have been handed down to all boat operators, they should not use the canoe or ferry at night, then someone should now come and lure them to be on board long after the time of closure have passed. So it's unfortunate. It's just so unfortunate, and I can see stubbornness from there, which most of them, I would say, they are illiterate. Illiterate because mostly they are villagers, so they don't care. They don't. Unfortunate, sorry to say, they don't have much value of their life. They don't have much value of their life, because if responsible people will come out of that moment of the night, the embark on that kind, it is.
Abdullahi, thank you very much, Abdullahi. Now we go to Engineer Sarat Brahima. You talk so much about what has been done to ensure that we don't have, mishaps like these recurring on our waterways. But then again, the issue of negligence, on the part of the boat operators keep reoccurring, because like I said earlier, we've had issues like this over and over again. So is there some sort of training, like orientation or reorientation for the boat operators, and awareness on the part of the people? Because you see over 300 people on a canoe that is not supposed to, carry, up to 100 persons. So is there some sort of, training for the operators and awareness for the people to ensure things like this don't keep happening?
Thank you so much. As I have said, hello. Yeah, there are centers that National Inland Waterways opened up like 2 years ago. We have one in Lagos. There is one in this same Niger has one small center. This is just because we want to train these boat operators. Most of the boat operators are illiterate, to be candid. They actually does not know what it takes to be on the inland waterways. They actually does not understand what are the safety rules and regulations of flying the inland waterways. So that is why NIWA came up with training centers. We are training them both in their local languages so that they will understand what are the safety rules. Simple to wear life jacket is a problem to most of these boat users. They don't even understand the importance of wearing life jackets. We have gone for sensitization all over Niger State for more than 3 times this year alone. We have commissioned river marshals. 24 river marshals were commissioned last 3 months, deployed to Mokwa, deployed to every part of Niger State, just for them to be sensitized, to be talked to in their local diets. So it's so unfortunate that this is still happening. There is training. We are training and training and training. We are giving them life jackets. In fact, latest we deploy a boat. I think by next month, the boat should be in operation. It's a 62-passenger boat, because we find out that most of their boats are not substandard actually. But you cannot take it out when you don't have a replacement. Last year budget, we budgeted for boats to be deployed to Niger State in particular, Kwara State, Niger State, and Yaoundé. And that of Niger State has just finished. They just finished producing it. 62-passenger boat, which will be deployed immediately now. We hope if this get there, they will use it, because all the boats they are using, there is no navigational aids. There is no way you'll be using a wooden boat. There is they don't have lights, nothing. And you put it on the water at 8:30. And this was even a public holiday. Nobody knows. All the river marshals left that place 8 p.m. But now, the managing director has instructed that it will be a 24-hour surveillance. There are sensitization every week going on at every state on how to use the inland waterways. It is so unfortunate that this is happening. It is very, very unfortunate. We have river marshals posted all over the 36 states in this country.
Yes.
Very much, Engineer Brahima. I see how passionate you are about this issue. Now, back to you, Godwin. I took a look at that video, the video of the people that were in that boat, and I saw that quite a lot of them, if not all of them, they were not putting on, life jackets. And of course, she has said, that Engineer Brahima has said here that a boat, of 62 persons capacity has been produced. But you see, at the end of the day, they have more than that number, boarding that canoe. Now, tell us, what measures can be taken to improve safety on our waterways?
Okay, thank you for that question. So, there is the obvious policy side, the policy side of addressing the issue that has been taken care of. And I'm really glad, with our response, a lot has actually been done on the policy side, creating replacement vehicles for transport workers who may not have enough capital to get new ones, sensitizing not only passengers but also operators, of these ferries. But where I see a lack, of effort is in the implementation side, and not necessarily from the policymakers themselves, but from those who are entrusted, with the responsibility of making sure these things carry consequence, or some behaviors carry consequence. I don't have any problem with the law. As has been mentioned, it is actually quite robust. There are marshals in 36 states of Nigeria. There are trainings. There's even a station in Niger State, a training station for waterway. So what that begins to make me feel, or make me understand, is that the penetration of this information is only on the surface, and that is not because people are not seeing it or hearing it. It's actually because I would attribute it to something the DG from Niger State also mentioned, is that people are largely ignorant. But I hold a different view. The purpose of the law is not only to teach, it is also to protect people from themselves. And that is the reason why you can be doing something wrong and you can be arrested, even though that thing you are doing wrong is actually going to be detrimental to yourself. So sometimes, I begin to see the whole issue, and I'm seeing that there's a lot of, there's a lot of, laxity around it. Not only from the policymakers, per se, but from the people who are participating, the stakeholders. And I'll give you an instance. You mentioned that there were 300 people on that boat, and none of them were wearing life jackets. The truth of the matter is, I don't know the cost of life jackets as of today, but it might be expensive. But that may not be the issue if people actually value their lives, or if people can actually access it cheaply, or if transport operators even want to make sure it is done, or even if there is consequence attached to not giving it to your passengers. My take home is there has to be consequence for actions, and the actions that we are seeing causing the death of people, it's becoming too many, it's becoming too much. People need to start going to jail, getting arrested for driving on waterways in the night, regardless of how many people we have in the waterways.
Thank you very much, Godwin. That was Godwin Adoga. He's a safety expert. Thank you so much for your time and your contribution. And also I had via Zoom from Lagos, Engineer Sarat Brahima, Area Manager, National Inland Waterways Authority, Niwa, Lagos State. Thank you so much for your time and your contribution. And from Niger is Abdullahi Baba Ara, Director General, Niger State Emergency Management Agency. Thank you, gentlemen and lady, for coming on the program. And thank you for being part of the program. Remember, Nigeria Today airs every weekday at 7:30 p.m. on NTA News 24. You can watch a repeat of this program by 10 p.m. today. And also check out other episodes on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. Once again, thank you for being there. I am Ikaria Clinton. Goodbye.